Hello, hello. Okay, I think we're live now. Oh, guess I had a little bit of a delayed reaction there. Anyways, hello everybody. Here we are. We're here to talk about, obviously, the state was granted an extension today that has a lot of people talking, a lot of people, a buzz, as it were. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You guys may have seen the video I did earlier today where I was talking a little bit about it. But essentially, when it comes down to it, it's a normal thing. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to also most likely be talking about something else that we just found out about, a wrecking crew member. Not just a wrecking crew member. This person was a member of virtually any true crime community that you can name. This person was a member of and a very beloved, comrade, as it were. So we're going to talk a little bit about Ziggy tonight, most likely. So, but to get to why this video is named, the thing that people are going to be clicking on the name and expecting to be hearing about is me talking about the extension. So I will do that first. The extension was granted to the state. Obviously, I reported on that last night. We find out today that it's a 90-day extension, and that makes the brief due on February 11th, I believe, because they're the 14th, 90 days. Yeah, so that makes sense. So that basically walks it back 3 days or so. So anyways, so instead of being on February 14th, it's on February 11th. That's 90 days, right? Okay. Why would the Court of Appeals do this? Well, when you think about it, there's a lot, as I was saying in my earlier video, there's a lot of things on the plate right now. You have the original 97604, remember the 1,000-page, all that, that, with all the testing that she did and all those things, that's all there. You have all the supplement stuff that she filed that was immediately denied and you just kicked back by Judge Sukowitz. So she's basically appealing all of those decisions and whether or not those should have had evidentiary hearings, and on it goes. And then obviously we have the Brady issues and all those. So there's just numerous issues at stake here, right? So if you look at Kathleen Zellner's tweet, I think she says it pretty well. She's just saying that it's normal for the Court of Appeals to grant extensions to both sides. Okay, and it's just like I was saying earlier in my video. The courts want counsel to come prepared. They want counsel to be able, they want them to be prepared. And so they will give the extensions. And then and the court takes, I imagine, this kind of an attitude towards it. It's like, if we went out of our way to give you time, and you ended up, after all that time and those extensions, coming to court less than prepared or whatever, well, then we're not going to have any pity for you because we granted you extra time, right? So it's more that they're erring on the side of caution, where they want to make sure all the parties are coming prepared, I think. And so it's just, I think, an automatic knee-jerk reaction to grant it. And they're giving them 90 days, maybe because there is, like I said, so much to it. It's not just a few little issues being argued. It's a number of issues that are being argued and that sort of thing. And so the Court of Appeals may just be taking the attitude of, okay, well, yeah, they're going to need a little bit more time to respond to all of this adequately. And that may be the whole reason why they granted 90 days. But like I said, the courts are interested in having counsel give informed briefs and informed arguments, and so they're inclined to give time to make sure that happens. So that's basically the way that goes. I don't think there's really much to be read in it. That the fact that, first of all, the fact that it was granted, I knew that would happen. I already knew that would happen before they even asked for it. I knew it would be granted if they asked for it. So see, I'm not really shocked. What is a little bit shocking is the fact that they made it 90 days. Now, that is interesting, but like I said, there's just a lot of issues at stake in this thing. And so it just could be that the Court of Appeals is thinking, look, there's a lot of stuff on the plate here, give them 90 days. I bet you anything that was the reasoning involved. So, hello Sharon, hello Linda, hello Gina, hello Paula, hello Sapper Cop, hello Dave Bull, what's up, buddy? Survivor, how you doing? Jamie Van Hout, How you doing? Slayer rocks. So, that's not what the lobby. See, I'm only shocked about the time frame. Yeah, I mean that was it was interesting that it's 90 days. I mean, I agree with you there. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I've been following this stuff for 4 years, folks. Now, I mean, we're literally coming up on 4 years now. January 15th and 16th of 2020 will be 4 years for me. That will be when I watched Making a Murderer, and then literally in the days following watching Making a Murderer, I discovered the Facebook groups and the documents and began, my trip down the rabbit hole, I guess, as they say. So coming up on 4 years, literally now in 2 months. So, and I've just seen it over and over again. The courts of appeal and everything, they will grant the extensions when they're asked for. It's a very rare thing for them to not grant an extension. So that's just something to keep in mind. I've seen it happening. I know it's the case. It's not just, it's the way that it's just the way it normally goes. So it's like I said in my earlier video. It's like, let them. You know what? Give them all that time. Let them overthink it, and really put some really dumb stuff in there. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't think I think it could work against them. Is what I'm getting at. All that time. People have to be patient. Takes a lot of time. Yeah. To figure out Manitowoc corruption and law enforcement. Yeah. And you gotta understand, the people there on the ground, they don't want to believe there's corruption all around them. They want to believe that they're safe. And the moment and the way that the way that it works kind of in our society, they want to believe they're safe because they are safe. Nothing's happening. But the problem is that what's happening to you when you decide when you finally realize you're maybe not safe? Well, that means that they're knocking on your door and sizing you up for a crime, for a conviction and everything. So what do you do then? It's too late then, right? But people on the ground want to believe that they're law officials, they're DAs, and they want to believe all those people are good people looking out for their best interest. They want to believe that, and it's hard to break people away from that. So that's a lot of what we're dealing with, is that the people on the ground there are either apathetic and don't care and don't know anything and don't care, or they do, but a conviction's a conviction. You know what I mean? And just like Travis talks about finality, the basically the seeming finality of court, when a judge has ruled and that sort of stuff. So it's that seemingness of finality that the courts are bent on. So once something's in the books, it's like it's just very difficult to do anything about. And that's what we're watching Zellner. She's had to do this with all of her exonerations. She never ever walked up to a case and just went with a magic wand and went bing, and the person popped out of prison. That ain't never happened, because it doesn't happen that way, and it never does, and it probably is not. It probably never will, But I guarantee you, it's never happened that way. Yeah, even in Dream Killer, she got denied a motion and whatever. I remember there was some point where she had made some motion or whatever that it got denied, and she was shocked. So then she went a different way and made another appeal or whatever, and she eventually ended up getting it. But like I said, you never just walk in and wave a magic wand and go poof, all better. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. I hope when I'm Making a Murder comes out, they trip up and prove Brendan and Steven's innocence. Yeah, right? I know, right? I'm with you on that, KT. I just watched the West Memphis 3 today. And the boys say some things in that fit here. Yeah. I think it will work against them and they can't get their lives together. Well, that's just it. They're trying to draw together so many incohesive threads that just like, because they're so desperate to try to explain all of the wackiness in the evidence, all the strangeness about it. And in the attempts to do that, they make themselves look ridiculous, in my opinion. Should have told them to present what they had on half the points KZ raised. Any one of them is enough to grant an evidentiary hearing. Maybe they are considering a retrial and on what they've seen. Well, look, Slayer Rocks, I'll tell you what. I can tell you for sure that when we were reading the motions for the testing and we read those motions and we saw the state's response in that where they stood on like procedural bar and all that sort of stuff, right? And so the Court of Appeals said, no, the testing isn't necessary, whatever. But when that was filed, we all figured out that those bones she wanted to test had already been given back, right? So once we figured that, well, then she figured that out. KZ then filed a motion of a violation of due process because those bones are no longer there. And she has been talking with the state, and the state has said that they were there, but they're clearly not there. And there's the issue of the fact that her record was never updated with the final pages of CASO. I mean, what the heck were we waiting all that time for? Back in 2016, when she came on the case, and we spent like 4 months waiting for the compiling of the record. How the hell did those 2 pages not make it over there in that time? Right? Because nobody wanted those 2 pages to make it over there. They didn't want Kathleen Zellner to figure out that they'd given those bones back when they knew they shouldn't. Right? So she knows, she has it from the state where they're arguing that they told her they had those things to test. Now it's all about maybe they should drop their current appeal so that they can pursue that. And you saw that the Court of Appeals was not amused by that. They were really not amused. In fact, in their order to send it back to the circuit court, they noted that the state had said that, and they were just like, we cannot understand or fathom the state making this argument, basically. Like chastising the state for making such a ridiculous suggestion that Avery should just drop his current appeal and all the issues in it to pursue that one. So that's when they remanded it. So you already know that the Court of Appeals is not amused with this issue at this point, and certainly not amused with the state's conduct. Right? At least it would appear that way. So I would hate to be a lawyer to try to defend this mess. Why do you think Fallon went on sabbatical? Like the VLCD and like the dispatch calls during trial that Remaker slipped up on. Right? Let's see. Is it a good thing to remember it must show all appeal? Are there any plans on making a series 3, Making a Murderer? I don't know that, and the filmmakers haven't said. They in interviews after Making a Murderer 2 came out, they were getting asked that question a lot when they were being interviewed by talk show hosts and stuff. All I can say is that they alluded to the possibility, but they were less than concrete in it. So we have to wait to hear from them on whether or not there's going to be a season 3. And it would probably depend greatly on news happening. For instance, Brendan getting released or being granted a pardon. That would probably be enough to warrant them to do a part 3. Or Stephen getting a new trial. That would be enough to warrant a part 3, basically. So that is why I think the COA have made their minds up and are giving the state all they ask for as one last shot. I think it's possible. I do. I think it's possible, because that's why I was saying that I don't think the Court of Appeals was amused with the state's, attitude regarding this. Where, it seems like they were less than impressed with the tack the state took. They need more time to make up lies. They need to give the RAV to Kathleen while she's waiting. She said she would pay for tests. Total sham. Yeah, they should give her the RAV, and they don't want to, and they're holding it back, and they're holding it back, and they're holding it back, and nobody sees and of course nobody there who's defending this conviction sees a problem with that. They think that's just fine. They don't see how it makes them look like they have something to hide. I hope you're right about the one last shot. Yeah. Oh, it was from Slayer Rocks. Yeah. In terms of the state. Yeah, well, like I said, it literally could be that they're giving the state enough rope to hang itself. I don't know. We'll see. So, that's what that all comes down to. I don't think it's any big deal that that it was granted this extension. It was a little odd to see how long the extension was, but other than that, it's perfectly normal. And like I said, well, here's Zellner's tweet. I'll just read you guys Zellner's tweet. Hold on, here we go. So it says, she tweeted this out for everybody. All appellate courts routinely grant extensions to both sides. Just means that issues raised cannot be dismissed lightly in a brief thrown together in a few weeks. So that touches on what I'm saying about there's so many issues at stake in the motion that they realize it would be difficult to throw something together to refute it in just a couple weeks. So she's basically acknowledging the fact of, kind of what I was saying, where the Court of Appeals is probably taking the attitude of, oh, well, there's a lot of things on the plate here, so let's go ahead and give them a little bit of extra time, right? So, and then, and then it says, making a murderer 2, hashtag not so fast. So, yeah. So like I said, it's perfectly normal, and, see, Sapper Cop. I'm not sold on the COA being on our side. I'm not saying this. Let me read the rest of Sapper Cop's statement first, and then I'm gonna maybe correct, or at least made it known where I stand. But he says, I'm not sold on the COA being on our side. Who's to say they aren't allowing KZ to get everything in the record so they can shoot it all down? Now, that's fine and dandy. They could be doing that, maybe, whatever. But once it's all on the record, you see, then it's there. And then when other evidence does come out later, it can be more effective because of what already is on the record, right? All the issues that have been raised, and if when these things continue to mountain up and get ignored, you start to see a systematic problem, right? But what I'm getting at is, I'm not necessarily saying the Court of Appeals is on, I'm not even sure to say our side. I would say, I'm not saying the Court of Appeals is on any side necessarily. I mean, all I'm saying is that they appeared to be very much not amused with the state's arguments regarding the bones. When I read their decision, they seemed genuinely offended by that argument by the state. So, that's just my take on it. But I'm not saying they're taking anybody's side. I want to make that absolutely clear right now. right now. I'm not saying the Court of Appeals is taking anybody's side. They need to give him a new trial. Would save a lot of time. Stevens' case is a huge risk. Yeah. They need to go back to the drawing board and do it the right way, which is what they should have done the first time. Instead of bringing this crappy case with this really sketchy, questionable evidence, that's what they did. Well, I know what you mean, Sapper Cop, but I guess I was saying that because I was trying to say, like, the Court of Appeals judges probably don't even perceive that there is our side necessarily. They probably believe there's people who believe in innocence, people that believe in guilt, but I don't know. But my point is I'm just saying that I don't think the Court of Appeals is on anybody's side in particular, because, like I said, they were pretty disdainful of the state because of that particular argument. So, I don't know. I'm not saying that means they're on, Stephen Avery's side. I'm just saying that means they're looking at the state's arguments with a bit more question. Basically, that's, I think, what I'm getting at. I hope they believe in due process. Absolutely. What do you think is the most probable outcome for the Court of Appeal? For me, what I think is that at least 2 or 3 of the issues, at least, should get remanded for an evidentiary hearing, and it should be basically, like spelled out. If they send it back to Judge Sukowitz, it should be spelled out exactly what they want her to do, and severely limit her ability to make any decisions at all, or they send it to a different judge, and again spell it out, but send it to a different judge. Either way, but I honestly feel like of all these issues being raised, some number of them should find purchase. They should be able to dig in, because there's a lot of crap going on in this case, and there's so much of it. Why is there so much of this BS going on? You got to ask yourself, why? Yeah, I'd like to see KZ get him on the stand as well. Yeah, you got the Bones, you got the Veely CD, you've got the various other Brady violations, potential Brady violations. You've got, I think one of the strongest arguments there, folks, is that she points out that Stephen was granted an evidentiary hearing in the past, right? And that the law, the case law, the law, or whatever, basically states that you can't bring evidence that's already been brought unless there's more evidence, there's more clear-cut evidence that is more defining, that yields more information than any previous evidence. Then you can bring it, and it should go through an evidentiary hearing, just like the previous evidence did, right? And even the state believed that, right? And we know the state believed that, and she points this all out in the beginning of her motion. We know that the state basically realized that because they were dealing with her. They expected that there was going to be an evidentiary hearing, and so they were making agreements with her to let her test things, because that's the way they figured, by their interpretation of the law, that's what they figured was going to happen, because the evidence that she was bringing now was much greater and more significant than the previous evidence brought. And so it was pretty much automatic that there should be an evidentiary hearing. And you can tell that's the way the state was conducting themselves until Judge Sukowitz's decision suddenly dropped right when they were having these discussions. It drops, and all of a sudden the state's in full retreat. And KZ wasn't able to get her hands on anything else to test. So it's, when you look at it, and she makes that argument clearly showing it's like, even the state knows that the law says if the evidence, if the amount of, if the value of the evidence that's being brought is greater than the evidence that was brought previously, then an evidentiary hearing must be granted, essentially, is the way the case law works. So, like I said, that's why the state was working with her. I think when Judge Sukowitz suddenly came out with her surprise denial, the state was just all too happy to go, oh, whoa, oh, okay, full retreat, back it up, so. Stacy Seabrook show up. Hey, what's up, buddy? How's it going? Get on the train. Judge Flowers' quick ruling wasn't an accident. I agree. You're probably right, Sapper Cop. The state is so rocky that they figured Stephen and Brendan would ever be able to afford proper representation. Now they're dealing with KZ. Exactly. Oh, I sang. Got Scott Farish piping up there. What's up, buddy? How's it going? Aren't you still in the UK, Stacy? Europe somewhere? Yeah, we can, Sapper Cop. Just hang on. Give them time. A KK, yeah, right. Gave Jerry and Dean over Christmas way back when. Exactly. Does the COA instruction not still stand regardless of Sukowitz's actions? Well, I anticipate that your question is in reference to what I was saying about it being remanded and then everything being spelled out. I'll try to have Travis touch on this. When him and I talk and do our comprehensive video, I'll try to have him touch on the subject. But it basically comes down to so far, basically Judge Angie has been, what she's been doing isn't like completely out of bounds. Now it could be reviewed later and they could find problem with it, but it's not like crazy out of bounds, like she's doing something that's so far out of bounds that it's just like crying out. It's not, he's saying, but if it does get remanded, if the Court of Appeals does find merit with these claims and it gets remanded again, he said there's a 50-50 chance of what could happen. He said there's a 50% chance it goes back to Judge Sukowitz, and they would give her very specific instruction and that sort of stuff. And he said usually, he said 95%, 99% of the time, that when the Court of Appeals does that, that the judge that it gets sent back to takes it very seriously. Now, there's also a 50% chance the Court of Appeals could send it to a completely different judge and then issue him instruction or her instruction. And so it could go either way if they find merit with claims in Avery's appeal. So I think that's kind of maybe what you were getting at. So basically that's I'll let Travis kind of get more into that, but basically so far the remands haven't been as strong as the one like I was talking about, where if they rule in favor of Stephen Avery in this current motion, it will be different. It'll get remanded, but it'll be in a lot more specific way. There'll be a lot more defined, because up till now it's been a more of a they weren't real strict about what went on, essentially. But if they find merit in the appeal, they will get a lot stricter. Has everyone been banned by KK on Twitter? I don't know if I have. I think I still see his tweets. I don't know. He may have blocked me. I don't know. I comment on his YouTube channel. He's responded to me a couple times there, actually. So that's, so that's that. I mean, there's like I said, it's interesting that it was 90 days, but it's not really all that shocking that the extension was granted. So figured people should know that. So to move on to the very sad news of wrecking, what happened to wrecking crew member Ziggy. Some of you will know Ziggy. Ziggy's just been one of my favorites. I love her so much. She's been on my channel. She's been supporting me ever since I can remember. Almost from when I started up. Ziggy was a very constant commenter, along with others. But obviously, I've had a long time of corresponding with her, and then after MAM2 came out, and then we developed the Wrecking Crew Discord community and those sort of things, and we all started talking even more and everything. And the news today is that she has been found dead, and she was basically murdered, it appears. I want to say allegedly, because I don't want to do anything too far out of bounds or anything, but she was found, what they believe, murdered by her son, and then her son took his own life after doing so. So that's what it appears, and it is absolutely tragic to have lost Ziggy. It's terrible. It's absolutely just terrible. I mean, I remember, I just wish she would have been able to come to, she would have been, she would have came to Raleigh last year, so I could have met her. I mean, it's all water under the bridge. I can't change the past, but I mean, I just do wish I would have got to meet her, and it all feels a little bit more raw right now, because I just found out about it literally like 2 hours ago, and but I loved Ziggy, and it's like, she's not going to be there anymore. I'm not going to see Ziggy's name pop up in the chat with something funny, and I mean, and she was an animal lover. She was such an animal lover. I mean, that's what I think half of our conversations were about. That and stickers, and but no, I love Ziggy. She was so awesome. She was so much fun. And it's like I said, she's not just a Wrecking Crew member. I mean, she had her finger in every pie. I mean, she was part of every true crime community. She was over on, Paul over at Reporting Live from My Sofa. She was part of his, Discord community. I would venture a guess that she was probably part of like Rubber Duckies and Millbillies, and she was interested in every person who was out there talking about this case and creating awareness. She was there to support them. She was awesome. She had a very passionate interest in the genre of true crime, and like I said, she wasn't just a member of this community. She was a member of so many communities, and a beloved member of so many communities. And I can only point you over to Paul over at Reporting Live from My Sofa. He was live before I went live. He may still be live. I don't know if he is. But they basically, went live an hour before I did, and they were talking about Ziggy. I mean, she was loved. People are going to miss her. I miss her. I'm going to miss her. I'm now just just sad. I'm never going to get to talk to Ziggy again. But let's see what's going on in the chat. I have the shirt. Yes, the dude She is the one that made the shirt, the dude, for me. I do have that to remember Ziggy by. So thank you for that, Linda. That is actually a very excellent point. Dun, dun. See, he's not live now. Oh, is he done? Okay, well yeah, well, he was going for a while, so I didn't know if he would keep going. I can't post on Discord. How are you? I remember Ziggy well. Let's see. She was really welcoming to me too. Wish I had met her in person. I really wanted to meet her too. She was almost going to come to Raleigh, Zelma. I mean, I wanted to meet her. I really did. I just was so excited that because she had started messaging me, telling me how she wanted to come and everything. And I even got into a little bit of trouble with somebody because I really wanted to make room for Ziggy. And, but then she ended up at the last minute, she just kind of had something come up and she couldn't make it. And it was unfortunate, but I really wish she could have, really would have loved to have met her there. Also, yeah, they are planning to do some things like they're gonna create a. By the way, so just so you can pay attention, everybody pay attention over at Paul's channel too, over at Reporting Live from My Sofa, because they are gonna be having like a little fundraiser thing where they're gonna do a little fundraiser to donate to one of the charities that Ziggy really loved, and that she supported herself in her own lifetime. 'Cause she really did love animals. So they're going to try and put together a little fundraiser to put together a nice little donation to be able to give in Ziggy's name to, her favorite, animal charity. So that's something that's going to be going on over. So pay attention over on Paul's channel. Over on, when I say Paul, I mean Reporting Live from My Sofa. I know you guys know me. I know Paul Capaldi, the Mad Scott over there in Scotland, but Paul Reporting Live from My Sofa is a different one. So just, sorry for those that may get confused, but if you want to watch out for that, you guys, if you knew Ziggy and you wanted to be taking part in that little fundraiser for her favorite charity, just go over and check out Paul's channel and keep an eye on what's going on over there. And I'll try to keep people up to date over here as well. There's a lot of information. Yeah. Reporting Live from My Sofa. Yeah, he follows a lot of cases, and I'm sure he's got lots of info in his Discord. Absolutely. Hi, Sharon. I know it's tragic. It's terrible. I don't want to get into the circumstances, but it is tragic and terrible. I console myself that she is at peace now. So we're not going to talk about that right now. We're just going to talk about the memory of Ziggy and the wonderful things. I'm not going to talk about the stuff, the actual what happened. I'm not going to do that tonight. I may do it later, but not tonight. We're going to talk about why Ziggy was wonderful tonight. The Sofa Squatter. There you go. Let's see, this is the story. There you go. So that's the article if you guys want to read. Oh, thank you, Linda. So I remember, she made me my dude shirt. I remember when she sent me the little letter, and it had a letter from her in it. It also had a bunch of like Avery Road, like Avery Road street sign stickers on it in it and stuff. And I remember it had the little business card from her. And it was so awesome because, guys, Ziggy couldn't really talk in person. She can, but she didn't like to because because well, she had, I think, if I remember correctly, she had a stoma, and so she couldn't speak well, and it was kind of laborious for her, and so she preferred texting. And so in this card, it says she gives, because it has her phone number on it, and everything, but it says to text, not to call, because if you call, she won't answer it. And it's so funny, but it was just this really little beautiful little card, and everything that it was. I don't know. I was touched. I was just. I mean, she was so cool. I'm just gonna miss Ziggy. Like I said, I'm just sad thinking that I'm never gonna see her name pop up in the chat again. You know, it's just, yeah. I don't know. It's She was just so much fun. She was generally always pretty with it, and quick in the uptake. She was fun to hang out with, and talk to. She was, I just, what can you say? It's just terrible that she's no longer with us. And, yeah. It makes you want to like show your appreciation to the people that you're close to and care about when something like this happens, It makes you want to like circle the wagons and make sure like everybody's okay, you know? I don't know. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. She did love Black Hearts. She used to talk to Sharon Sunshine quite a bit, and she shared that with Sharon. So if you guys check out Sharon's Facebook profile pic, it's a black heart, and so she made a little tribute for Ziggy for her Facebook profile pic. So that was awesome. Oh, she was always welcoming. She was always friendly, always happy to talk, and that sort of stuff. Well, she would get busy sometimes, just like anybody else, but generally speaking, she was always real, friendly, and that sort of stuff, and easy to talk to. And she was enthusiastic, you know what I mean? She was very enthusiastic about the causes that she was, that she followed. She was very much, she had all the passion for Avery Dassey. She also had it for other cases, I'll tell you who messaged me to let me know about this today. Somebody else who Ziggy has touched, and that's Miss Keck over there at Perplex Cutie. So there's a lot of people that Ziggy touched that are now feeling the loss. There's a lot of people out there feeling the loss right now. So I can't believe it. I don't want to believe it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's true because of what I've read in the article and what I know, because I've, talked to Ziggy and I've received mail from Ziggy, and, so I kind of have already been able to fact check some of the things in the article. So I'm already pretty sure it's, I know it's ridiculous for me to hope it isn't true, but part of me still wants to hope it isn't true and wants to see Ziggy's name pop up in the chat, but yeah. But that's not going to happen, so we remember Ziggy fondly. We, that's how we remember her. That's how we, allow her to continue to live in our memories. And by talking about her, Yeah, she is. She will be missed. So it is a big loss, Linda. It is. It hits you. Like I said, I found out 2 hours ago, and I was like, I spent the first half an hour going, no, it isn't true. No, there's no way. That's not true. And I was like, no, it's got to be a mistake somehow. It's a mix-up. But then I'm like reading the article, and I'm looking at the names, and then I'm looking at the address, and I'm just like, yeah. So it was very sad, but I just I can't believe it, but I believe it, but I can't believe it. Songs in the Key of Freedom. Awesome. Maybe when you revisit that video one of these days, Ziggy, you can, or I'm sorry, Stacy, maybe we can throw in a little nod to Ziggy in the video. So, something to consider if you revisit that one, to do something with it. I know I'm gonna always now always gonna be thinking of Ziggy whenever I put on my dude shirt. The one that says disingenuosity on the back, but it says the dude right here. You know, just like this one says Erekose. You know, but it's the one the one she had made for me is black, and then it has the dude right here. I know I'm gonna always think of her when I wear that shirt now. And I'm not going to stop wearing that shirt because I love that shirt. That shirt is awesome. That was one of the best things I ever got. And that's no offense to anybody else, but that was just so cool that it had the dude on it and disingenuosity on the back. It was just so awesome. But this thing's pretty awesome too, though. You guys know I freaking love this thing. My Lion Rampant. Are you kidding me? I got my little knitted Dalek. I got my Australia flag, all these things. These are all things to me that are dear, of course. But yeah, the dude shirt now is gonna have a little bit of an extra special meaning for me. So she gave you guys sun hats? Awesome. Awesome. And a card. I bet you that card is the same card I got. I loved her little business card. Was very sweet, folks. It was so cool. You know, it was just her conveying, like, you know, I love to talk and converse, but don't call me because I can't talk. You know, it's so funny. She was adorable, just being, you know, the plucky, you know, supporter of everything true crime, basically, that she was awesome. To send me a Cornish flag. Yeah, I'm already at a dilemma, as you can see. Is I got to figure out what I'm going to do with all the flags I've already got. So we are all definitely better off knowing her. I certainly think so. I loved Ziggy, man. She was so much fun. She would often show up early for a live, and I'd be sitting there, you know, kind of getting myself ready or whatever, and so she would be popping up in the chat and everything, you know, and so there was always that kind of fun stuff, and, you know, I mean, yeah, it's just it's like, it's hard to imagine that I'm not going to see her name pop up, you know, on Twitter or here or anywhere else. And yeah, it's like I said, but I didn't know if I was going to talk about her tonight, but then I decided, yeah, you know, I think it's good to talk about her. I think it's good. Because as I was reporting live from my sofa, I wasn't sure about it at first. I was like, really? Do we want to talk about it? Is this too quick, too fresh? I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But as I was watching, I saw the love coming out from people who really genuinely loved Ziggy and were really genuinely looking for a place to talk about it. And also in private chats that I share with other people, it's been a topic of conversation. She touched a lot of people. Ziggy really did touch a lot of people. She's, you know, she was loved, and that was the great thing I saw on Reporting Live for Myself as live video, is that a lot of people were there showing that love, talking about how much they loved her, talking about, you know, things, past things they'd done and said with her, and all kinds of things. And so it was a big thing where Ziggy was being remembered fondly, and that's kind of when I made the decision that, yeah, it's okay to talk about Ziggy and to celebrate her life, because that's what we should do. I don't want to tuck her to the back of the cabinet and forget about her. I'd rather bring her out in the light and say, you know what? We loved her. We loved this person. She was a huge member of our community. And she was beloved by many. And I didn't want to hide that or shove it in the closet or shove it into the cabinet. So, yeah, I decided when I was watching Paul and saw the love that the right thing to do was to talk about Ziggy and celebrate her life. By her care and concern. Yes, she was an animal lover, absolutely, and I'm sure it touched many animals' lives in, you know, while she was with us, and absolutely that a lot of animals that are probably better off. Not getting yeah, sometimes you got to go back and unclick it and click it again. YouTube does weird stuff. Choking on ashes. I've had people recently coming back and finding me, and who had been subscribed to me and who had clicked the bell, who suddenly found me recently and said somehow YouTube had unsubscribed them from my channel. They accidentally happened upon one of my videos and went, oh crud, you know, and they went and checked and see if they were still subscribed to me, and they found out that they weren't. They had to resubscribe and re-ring the bell with me to get the notifications again. It happens. YouTube does this. It just randomly unsubscribes people from channels sometimes. I can't explain it. But if you go back to all the channels that you're really concerned about getting the notifications from, usually if you go unsubscribe, resubscribe, unclick the bell, click the bell again, and just it kind of resets it. So if you want to try that, that might work. I'm so proud of her. I tried to be different to my mother, but made lots of mistakes. She's a real fighter for justice. Yeah. This will make me go back and watch older videos to see her humorous comments. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with YouTube, but thanks for telling me. Cheers, I'll do that. Okay, yeah, no problem. I think that's the best bet, because it has been happening. Like I said, I've had people coming to me telling me that they somehow got unsubscribed from me, and they didn't do it themselves. So, you know. So, yeah, that's the news for today. You know, not a big deal that the Court of Appeals granted the extension. It's a little out of the ordinary that it's 90 days, but then again, when you think about all the issues on the plate, maybe it's not so outrageous, maybe, when you think about it. And then, of course, you know, Wrecking Crew member and obviously true, you know, member of many true crime communities, Ziggy. Rest in peace. She's no longer with us, and I know I, for one, am going to feel that loss sorely. And like I said, man, now it just makes me want to circle the wagons and make sure everybody's okay. You know, all the people that I'm been close to and gotten close with, you know, here in the last 3 or 4 years, as I've, you know, become a bit of an activist in terms of criminal justice. So it now makes me kind of want to just like circle the wagons and make sure everybody's doing okay, because this is such a shock. and I just wish I wish it wasn't so. I wish it wasn't so. But I see all the black hearts there for everybody, paying tribute to Ziggy. I love it. Thank you so much, guys. So I can see Choking on Ash is going to go to sleep. I think that's about it for this video, folks. Coming up on an hour. We have definitely shown our love and respect and admiration and our, the fact that we have lost Ziggy. That is a sore loss. But that's the news that came through today, unfortunately. Alongside the news of the extension, which now seems to pale in comparison. But remember to show the ones that you love them and care about them, and the people that you rely on and the people that you care about. Make sure they know. Make sure they know. Don't put it off till tomorrow, because that's the kind of thing that this reminds me. It reminds me that life is fragile. We kind of sometimes think everybody's going to be here forever, but they're not. So just make sure you let the ones that you care about know. Make sure that they know they're loved, because you'd hate for them to not know and something like this could happen. I don't know. All I know is keep the ones you care about close. If you haven't already, folks, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.